Hey everyone, GB4576 here. Today we have the newest episode of Death Battle. Today we have Magneto versus Tetsuo, Marvel versus Akira. I'm just gonna vote. I'm just gonna root for Magneto since he's the only one I actually know exists. But let's get into this. 3, 2, 1, go. Death Battle.
Magneto, Marvel's mutant master of magnetism.
Tetsuo Shima, Akira's telekinetic terror of Neo-Tokyo.
These two maestros of kinesis have ignited revolution not just in their worlds, but also the very mediums they exist within.
He's Wiz
Okay.
and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and
I don't know
skills to
anything
find out
about
who would win
Akira.
a death battle.
We got sprite animation today. That's cool.
In the short duration of modern civilization, likely no conflict tested humanity more than the
World
Second
War II.
World War.
Yeah,
In the
because
primary
Magneto was a
Marvel
Holocaust
616
victim.
universe, this fact is no different, especially to the Eisenhart family and their only son.
You may know him as Magnus, Eric, or Max, but if you ask him, he'd say his true name is Magneto.
As a Jewish child in Nazi Germany, Magneto's early life was, well,
Dislikes
extremely
discrimination,
traumatic.
Nazis,
Even
and wooden
after
guns.
eventually escaping certain death with his future wife, misfortune always followed wherever he went.
Thanks to his unexpected mutation called the X gene, the mark of a superhuman. After settling down in Russia with his new family, the KGB quickly found out about this quirk, so they burned his house down with his own
Whoa.
daughter inside.
Naturally, he snapped and killed them all. I don't blame him. I'd do that
Yeah.
too. Too bad his wife didn't get it and ditched him, though. But that's when Magneto made a choice. Since humans hurt him his entire life, he'd do the same to them in the name of mutants everywhere.
At first, Magneto turned to the telepathic powerhouse Charles Xavier and his fledgling team of heroes. But his new friend wasn't thrilled with the idea of,
Genocide.
subjugating the human race. So,
Yeah.
Magneto formed his own team of mutants, the Brotherhood.
Magneto can telekinetically move, bend, and reshape any metal he's aware of. Bullets, vehicles, buildings, you
That's
name
a
it.
lot of
Even
power.
himself when he manipulates his
Biological
personal magnetic field for flight and
manipulation.
energy barriers.
Okay.
Magnetokinesis is far more versatile than it would appear at first glance. The blood in your body has iron in it. The air has
keeps
traces
barriers in
of
place
lead
for
and
combat,
mercury.
even though his
Whole
powers
mountains
are
are
other
lined
things.
with metallic ore. The Earth itself is surrounded by a literal magnetic field.
So many toys for Maggie to play with. He can detect magnetic fields at such a huge range, he can even pinpoint Earth's magnetic rays while stranded on
Whoa.
a planet in another galaxy. And
How
guess
the
what?
hell is
he
that
was able
possible?
to use those rays to pull himself back to Earth in a single day.
His range is even more remarkable than that. Did you know that in 1820, physicist Hans Christian Ørsted discovered that electric currents, like those of electrons and protons and atoms, produce their own magnetic fields? Magneto can fine-tune his control to affect these very subatomic particles.
Huh.
Dummy here will illustrate such a particle, with positively charged protons and negative electrons.
My life is as meaningless as an atom is small.
So
Yeah,
what you're saying is
everyone
Magneto
is.
could, like, yank one of those out.
Correct, potentially changing an atom's entire chemical makeup. However, neutrons do not have a charge, and without the ability to adjust those to accommodate the change in atomic mass, the atom would become unstable and
Blow up. Yep. Well, there goes them.
do that.
Yeah.
Magneto's
What happened to
violent
that?
protest against humankind clashed with Xavier's peaceful reconciliation, not unlike the ideologies taught by Malcolm X and Dr. King, by whom
Yeah.
Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were inspired. Magneto would spend most of his career pushing Xavier away to prove his philosophies superior, which meant doing battle with Xavier's school of thought, quite literally.
And Baldy's mind powers are no joke, but thanks to Magneto's psionic repelling helmet,
helmet is
Professor
mostly
X
effective
couldn't
for
touch
shutting
him.
out
Magneto
I
survived
didn't see that.
Cyclops' earth-splitting lasers, absorbed the power of the sun to battle Iron Man, ripped the adamantium skeleton out of Wolverine.
Pulled the break world bullet at near light speed, flew between galaxies in a short time frame, punched Iron Man with the force of a sun, overpowered Hercules and Thor's hammer, ripped apart Wolverine's adamantium skeleton, survived a miniaturized neutron star bullet, resisted mental attacks from Professor X and Emma Frost, defeated X-Men, Avengers, Red Skull, and Apocalypse. Okay.
Wolverine's body, and even taken on Hercules himself. You know, the Greek legend, Zero to Hero? The guy who held up the skies of Olympus for Atlas? that Hercules.
Seems sensible.
Cool.
Magneto once used the Earth's magnetic field to overwhelm the Phoenix Force, which can effortlessly destroy planets, let alone far more.
Hell, if he really wanted to, Magneto could totally just fling the Earth off its axis.
It's entirely
Yeah.
possible he may have eventually resorted to just that. Over time, it became clear Magneto's war was doing far more harm than good for his fellow mutants, however well-intentioned he may have been at first.
Luckily, he later realized he was going a bit overboard and began reevaluating his perspective. Good for you, Mags. It's really tough to recognize when you're the baddie.
It took time and patience not just from Magneto, but also from his peers. Yet eventually, his path was completely changed. He even became a leader for Xavier's X-Men.
But don't let his new goody two-shoes ways fool you.
He's still gonna
Whenever
kill
there's a threat
people.
to mutants, you can bet Magneto will be there to annihilate it. Forever, by any means necessary.
Let's learn about the
This
anime,
episode
boy.
of Death
Huh.
Battle is
I don't care
Oh,
about
his
this.
kid. Hello, that's
Damn sponsors.
watching the anime.
world.
Okay, back bit.
Type of bomb was set off over Tokyo, and 9
Whatever.
hours later began the Third World War.
Welcome to 2030, or 2019 if you're watching the anime. The buildings are taller, the motorcycles are cooler, and the future is brighter.
Not really.
Oh, wait, not really. If you find yourself in the Capsule Gang, you'll meet Shotaro Kaneda, who's like your textbook anime Chad. Gets the ladies, beats the baddies, and cops the sweetest rigs. Man, I need to get me one of those.
And then there's the little brother of the group, Kaneda's best friend, Tetsuo Shima. He's
The
well,
opposite.
The exact opposite.
Yep.
A total wimp. As a kid, Tetsuo in his college thesis forehead got bullied for being the new kid at the orphanage. That's until
Dictator
Big
of the
Bro Kaneda came
illustrious
to the
Great
rescue.
Tokyo Empire.
Eventually, the two went to vocational school together and formed the Capsules. But Tetsuo was never satisfied with Kaneda being the leader of the pack. Tetsuo desired more than anything to be top dog.
Oh, I can just see that monkey's paw curling in my mind. Or that kid walking down the street. Shit, Tetsuo, watch out!
And dead. Or exploded.
That definitely should have killed him.
But it
But
didn't.
since it didn't, Tetsuo earned himself a ticket to military confinement. Turns out they had an under-the-table program for developing child superweapons.
In the same program that backfired and jump-started the war, Tetsuo became Japan's Esper number 41.
He
Ah,
may
yes,
not have been a
that's
natural
totally
with
safe.
bikes, baddies, or babes, but this telekinesis stuff hit different. He walked out of that hospital ward effortlessly flying, reading minds, and blending people into strawberry jelly. Tetsuo got what he wanted. Power, along with the hunger for more
Power,
of it.
but no
A hunger that used
responsibility.
to only be satiated with drugs. And not just any gateway drug, pills so potent that a single gram of the stuff could kill you.
Yeah.
So, pretty bad. Kinda reminds me of college days, huh? Snow wizard.
Tetsuo's main
Ah.
ability is his constantly increasing psionic energy, growing
Guess
more
Wiz
and
was
more
a former
powerful
coke
over
addict.
time. This is due to Tetsuo's link to, quote, the memories of the universe, end quote. It's weird.
Huh.
Either way, Tetsuo leveled up from lame gangbuster to certified
Espers take advantage of the flow of universal energy created by the Big Bang. Its destructive nature is in part due to promoting humanity's
badass.
evolution.
This guy is a walking natural disaster. His telekinesis can
Okay.
shake the planet, easily cause earthquakes over a dozen miles below the surface. He can summon psychic barriers for defense and crush foes with frickin' gravity wells. He can dart around as a literal bolt of lightning or even teleport in an instant.
Tetsuo's telekinesis can be so precise he can target and obliterate specific parts of the body. He can heal
Huh.
severe wounds
Okay.
quickly, but even after losing a whole limb, he can craft a new one using whatever nearby materials
Yeah, but that's
he wants.
metal.
With
Magneto's
these powers,
good with
Top
metal.
Dog Kaneda didn't matter anymore. Who needed his approval? Tetsuo tasted that good shit and he was hooked. And when he found out another Esper named Akira could deal him even more power, he rampaged through Tokyo to find him.
And this is where versions of the story differ.
Ahem. Spoilers ahoy!
You may be familiar with the 1988 animation, where Akira had been dissected for research. However, in the original manga, Akira is not only alive, but even more powerful.
Once that little runt nuked Tokyo, Tetsuo would erect the Great Tokyo Empire with Akira and himself as its leaders. But he ended up just abusing the position for endless sex and inflating his ego.
With Kaneda's rebellion at his front door, Tetsuo took a turn for the worse. He had to fight.
Tetsuo's defeated other powerful espers, dodged light-speed lasers,
Kai,
and
Lady
jumped to the moon
Miyako, and
faster
US
than
Navy
anyone could
fleet.
blink, and then punched a big old hole in it. And if you ask, Boomstick, wouldn't that mess up gravity on Earth? You would be right, because it totally did. Screwed the planet, I guess. Stupid moon.
Created the
Which
moon.
brings us to Tetsuo's folly. His abuse of his powers spiraled until he lost control. Unfortunately for Kanada's rebellion, this did not make Tetsuo an easier enemy to confront.
Made it worse.
Exactly opposite, in fact, has Tetsuo painfully mutated into an unstoppable behemoth.
Yep, that's not totally disturbing at all.
I'm
Yeah,
happy
not.
to say the manga's version is even more disturbing.
I mean, I know babies can be monsters, but that's a whole
Whoa,
nother
that
level.
is very
It is pain
disturbing.
incarnate. I can relate. Another
Yeah.
Esper described Tetsuo's struggle as ego death, which has multiple definitions, but in this case is likely symbolic of the version attributed to drug use.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
described as a shedding of one's own identity. Like how LSD can emulate a wild out-of-body experience, and you come back with a new perspective. Though this
okay.
is maybe a little more extreme. In fact, you
Yeah,
could
probably.
say Tetsuo was shedding his human body to play with the powers of a god.
I wish
Huh.
I could shed out of my body. But in this case, Tetsuo going full out of body meant
Have to cut that out.
a mound of raw, ever-expanding energy.
Which almost nuked Tokyo all over again. And those explosions are not normal. I would know.
Top scientists in both the manga and animated versions describe these explosions as births of a new universe.
Given its properties
Okay.
of nuclear fusion and proton collapse, Tetsuo's mutated form was likely creating a Big Bang.
You know, the
Big
thing
Bang.
that started our whole universe?
Right. In the
Yeah.
manga, it instead ended the Espers and their abilities once and for all. A testament that
Okay.
humankind is unsuited to wield the powers of the divine.
Though the anime's even more trippy. Thanks to Akira and his buddies, Tetsuo got so high on ego death, he ascended time-space to become god of a new universe.
Huh.
Kind of worth it,
Okay.
right?
And
Not
yet,
canon in the
Kaneda
original
kept his
manga.
empire up in his honor, now as the Great Akira Empire. Ironically, in death, Tetsuo finally received the attention he so desperately craved.
Huh. That's weird.
This episode of Death Battle is
That's
box
ad.
office. It's free.
You sign up.
Some
All right, the combatants are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a
Right.
death battle!
Like, I'm gonna say I think Tetsuo like has more power, but Magneto has like more experience fighting. But considering my track record, I should probably gonna say Tetsuo will win, since the person I always want to win never does. And when it does, they do win. It's just not as often.
Even in Japan, they fail to recognize our superiority.
Wrong country, Grandpa! You're in Akira turf now!
Okay, let's fight.
You're dead meat!
Send it back.
Impudent child!
The hell are you calling child? I make the rules around here!
He's gonna catch stuff and send it back to him.
You're wasting my time.
Ooh. Cut off the
All
arm.
tricks for the master of magnetism.
Yeah, but he can just get his arm back with other stuff. And use that. Oh, building crushes. Yeah, that'll totally get him.
I'll kill you!
Ooh.
Your history, scumbag!
He technically is history since he's a World War II survivor. Oh, Magneto, use your magnet on his arm. Oh, you lost the helmet. Oh, hey, he's using the arm now.
Believe I've had enough tantrums to last a lifetime.
Oh, he going god monster now? Yep, here's the disturbing shit.
Listen, welcome. I'll handle this on my own. Not weak. Die! Hurts. Help me.
Oof, lay out iron in the blood. You like ascending now? Or bombing? Oh yeah, here's his bomb thing. What?
Poor child.
What the heck? Oh. Just simple headshot.
Thank you.
Thank you for ending the suffering.
You're
An ad.
welcome.
Huh. Okay. That was kind of anticlimactic.
KO! Tetsuo! Oh, God. Yeah. I'm never doing that again.
Tetsuo's esoteric telekinesis and other
Magneto is stronger, faster, tougher. Magnesis countered his offense. Magnetic senses countered his mobility, whereas inferior healing options, and Tetsuo could eventually grow more powerful. Tetsuo could kill Magneto without a shield. Telekinesis had a broader range of effect, but though his application was less versatile, overexertion with bodily harm, and far less combat experience. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
bizarre abilities certainly gave Magneto pause, but the Master of Magnetism had greater control over his foe.
The numbers don't lie. Tetsuo cratering the moon was insane, but Magneto punched Iron Man with the force of the sun. And while Tetsuo jumped all the way to the moon, Magneto could move across galaxies.
Against Tetsuo in his human form, Magneto obviously held a sizable advantage in power and
Those
speed.
barriers
But
Tetsuo
stats
is
aren't
easily
all
powerful
that
to kill
matters.
Magneto,
With his
or
precise
those barriers can
telekinesis,
withstand
Tetsuo
attacks
could
from
just
Thor,
target
Hercules, or
Magneto's
stronger than
organs.
Tetsuo.
GG, right?
Yes, but Magneto had similar skills. There are very few substances on Earth that lack any metallic or magnetic component, and Magneto is very creative with his powers.
Which he could use to predict Tetsuo's teleportation and even shut down his telekinesis. And his
Okay.
scraps with Xavier prove he could handle Tetsuo's messing with his head. The biggest challenge for
Given that Tetsuo was put out of commission after attempting to read Akira's mind, it's likely that Magneto's greater array of abilities, the same would happen here.
Magneto was when Tetsuo's gross mutated power came into play.
Especially given how the detonations from this form were compared to that of a Big Bang. Although the authenticity of that observation is questionable. In truth, the Big Bang was a sudden expansion of matter on a universal scale, whereas Tetsuo's explosions are more akin to nuclear blasts, clearly intentional given the post-war symbolism of the Akira story.
The
Yeah.
whole creating an alternate universe bit wasn't even part of the original material, so we can't exactly call it canon.
But let's just say the comparison wasn't superfluous. Let's say Tetsuo did in fact cause a Big Bang capable of creating or destroying an entire universe, alternate or otherwise.
Turns out Magneto had the tools to stop that too. Helmet Head could overpower Hercules, who was strong enough to hold up the skies of Olympus, which is literally heaven and an alternate universe.
This doesn't necessarily mean Magneto could easily destroy a universe with a snap of his fingers, but it does prove he can match a similar level of power. And context is everything. Tetsuo's Big Bang eruption specifically exhibited proton collapse, meaning its atomic structure was primarily an unstable mess of neutrons and electrons. And Magneto has detected and commanded unstable electrons before.
Huh,
This
okay.
means Magneto had every means available to take control over this Big Bang.
Damn, and I thought he could just move some metal around. It's like the question posed by some of the greatest prophets of our time. Fucking magnets. How do they
Magnets.
even work?
Magneto's astonishing power
Yeah.
and intelligent control over all things magnetism triumphed in the end.
Yeah.
Tetsuo pushed his luck, but didn't have the metal to pull off the win.
Ha.
The winner is Magneto.
That's cool. Who's
Thank
next?
you for watching this episode. If you'd like to directly support the whole Death Battle team, click that join button and consider becoming a member. We'd really appreciate it.
Who's
Hope you like the
next?
next one.
That actually Hercules? Hercules versus Sun Wukong. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Sun Wukong. I'm pretty sure it's like a Japanese mythology character. Or Chinese. I don't know. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.